Welcome to another episode of Bad versus Good Movie Fights. Today, we got Wolves. We got one of the worst movies to come out in recent years with Madam Web, and also, how did they do this? Rules: no shaky cam, no choppy editing, no guns. Let's do this. Okay, so how do you make this even cooler? Like this. Logan is the 2017 X-Men movie, which really adds to the nonsensical timeline of the X-Men franchise. And it's also the movie that birthed this.
Laura! No.
Laura, or X-23. And her fight scenes were kick-ass. Director James Mangold went for something more visceral with his X-Men film. Based on the comic book series Old Man Logan, the director framed this movie like a Western. The thing to note here is that the editing is both patient and dynamic, never cutting on impact, allowing us to see the carnage. This film was brought into production with the idea of always being an R-rated movie, and this allows the violence to be critical. Again, special praise has to be given here to the editing, which makes it seem like we're never actually editing and that the action is simply just flowing from moment to moment. This fight is a classic example of using wire work and aerobatics at the right times. In theory, these beefy guys with guns should easily be handling this little girl. But to look at the movement, you think that she's more dangerous than Wolverine himself. They simply cannot handle her. It is excellent directing by Mangold, who keeps the camera either really low on our small protagonist or really high on our opponents to show scale. Brilliant. One of the things that we often advocate for on this channel is practical filmmaking. This film kept things as practical as they could on set, with Laura's claws being real, but made of rubber, and her foot claw being a real metal claw, which allowed the actress Daphne Keane to perform all the stunts she needed and make things look even more authentic. This scene in X2 was shocking because we'd never seen Wolverine be this brutal before, but it was a fleeting moment in a largely safe PG-13 movie. This film with its X rating did not pull any punches at all, being aggressively brutal and violent, pitting the Asian protagonist alongside the equally feral Coley. Mangold rightly managed to escape criticism from the whole Indiana Jones debacle in 2023. His work has always been solid, but with this movie and Ford vs. Ferrari, the man became a big league director. And this film is just evidence as to why. It's a great example of how 20th Century Fox sometimes use their licenses with X-Men for the power of good. While Stoney, on the other hand,
your future was almost so different.
Now, there's really no point in going in on Madam Web.
Get ready.
Everyone's been there and done that, so really there's no need to.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Okay, well maybe we can go in on these lines because they are truly awful. Let's instead talk about this.
Julia! Julia, get back!
The thing that really infuriates me with this scene is that it's actually got some really cool things. The concept of our protagonist, Madam Web, being able to see the future lends itself to a really cool opportunity to do some really nice visual tricks. Meaning when this happens, we get a really nice moment that pays off here.
Come on.
I also really like the camera work in this part. Director C.J. Clarkson, who's primarily a TV director, shows some nice visual flair here. But I have to say, this is all ruined by some really tacky acting from all the cast involved. I'm not going to single out anyone here. It's just really low energy from everyone. Now, you could blame the director for that because that's the director's job, to raise the performance levels. However, I think something else is going on here.
Hey, am I on the right train?
I don't know, man.
And also, the blocking in this scene is horrendous. These people here, who are really just messily in the way of the frame, doing nothing, really spoils the shots. Not to mention, they aren't running for their lives or intervening, they're just NPCs at this point. So, the really nice framework of the narrative and the really nice camera work is spoilt. Now, if you don't know what blocking is, here's a short course. This is excellent blocking. It's from the film Minority Report. Blocking is how you place your actors in the frame. Look how our actors are perfectly framed for this shot. It's the opposite of messy. The director here is Steven Spielberg. But what if you had more actors in a frame? Well, this is Akira Kurosawa's classic, High and Low. Again, look at this. It's a work of art. Now, look at this again. Not so much. You may think that something like blocking is quite a minuscule detail, but it's really not, especially when you have a scene like this that really needs to be better blocked. And lastly, yes, I am going to mention the music because it's very bad. It's playing to an audience that they thought existed for this film, but really it doesn't help the scene to be more dramatic. In fact, it invalidates the scene. And then also, it seems like this film was made for the demographic of females between 16 to 30. But this is a superhero movie. Whatever you do, your demographics will always be male, 20 to 45. This remix song by Britney Spears is not right for this movie nor this scene. It's really bad filmmaking across the board, which may have less to do with the director and more to do with the studio, if rumors are to be believed.
Hey, am I on the right train?
I don't know, man.
Okay, so you wake up one day and you're a gladiator. Pretty cool, right? Or maybe not. Or you go online to purchase 2 tickets to go and see Jurassic Park. Pretty cool, right? Or maybe not. Are any of these movie plot lines even possible? Find out in this channel's new series where I explore movie plot lines from famous films and see if they make sense or if they're even possible in a logical sense.
Must go faster.
Next up is Christopher Nolan's classic dream-inspired action movie, Inception. Right, back to this video.
You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
So, how did they do this? These shots in action movies are quite frequently used and used to frame a scene in a first-person perspective. Most of you are familiar with video games like Call of Duty and Halo, which are FPSs. And FPSs give you the feeling that you're actually in situ, intensifying the experience for you as a gamer. And in film, it can do exactly the same. But how do they do this? That was the original question. Well, this is a snorri cam. It was first invented in 1996, and one of the first instances of it being used properly was in the Darren Aronofsky masterpiece, Requiem for a Dream, where he uses it consistently to enhance the sense of confusion and panic within his quartet of characters. The camera is attached to the body and points towards the actor. The Night Comes for Us does something very similar, and it mimics a technique used by Martin Scorsese in Mean Streets and Spike Lee in nearly all his films. And this is where a rig is set up to capture the actor as they move. But in this particular scene, instead of focusing on the actor's expressions, it focuses on what the actor can see. And this is an evolution, or if you don't like it, a devolution, is that a word? Of Hardcore Henry, which uses another process altogether. You see, for this film, GoPro cameras were mounted on a specially made mask, dubbed the adventure camera. The key is the placement of the lens. Putting the camera where they place it here mimics the human head, and more specifically, the eye line. You see, making movies is all a magic trick. You can trick the human eye into believing anything. For example, in this shot from Edgar Wright's film Hot Fuzz, Simon Pegg is not doing these stunts in totality. The human eye just wants you to believe it. And you see there's a stunt double right here. And thusly, using this improvised rig exactly where it's placed gives you the impression that you're watching something real. Couple that with excellent VFX work and voila, you have your magic trick completed. So that's how they did this. A combination of technology, VFX, magic, and your own mind tricking itself.
And what have I been telling you all night? The closer you look, the less you see.
Filmmaking is a simple art, complicated by fools.
Why'd you catch that? Because it was gonna fall. You're certain? Yeah, but it didn't fall. You caught it. The fact that you prevented it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen.
So that's it for this one. Big love. In the comments, which fights should I cover next?